Imagine standing in the face of a storm, career setbacks, personal criticisms, unexpected hardships, yet remaining calm and confident through it all. What if you could silence the voice of self-doubt and carry yourself with an unshakable inner strength, no matter what life throws at you? In a world full of uncertainties and anxiety, the ancient Stoic philosophers knew a secret. True confidence comes from within. It's not about puffing yourself up or relying on constant praise. It's about cultivating a mindset so resilient that nothing can shake your belief in yourself. The wisdom of Stoicism, a philosophy born over 2,000 years ago, is surprisingly practical for building rock-solid confidence today. The Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, lived through wars, exiles, and adversity, yet they developed mental strategies to remain strong. Their insights have stood the test of time for a reason. In this video, we'll explore 7 key Stoic principles that will help you believe in yourself at the deepest level. Each principle comes with powerful Stoic quotes and real modern examples, from entrepreneurs and athletes to artists and activists, showing how these ideas can be applied to everyday life. By the end, you'll have a toolkit of proven Stoic strategies to boost your confidence and courage. The 7th principle is a game changer. It ties everything together and might just transform how you view every challenge in your life. Stay tuned until the end, because these insights could be the turning point in your journey to unshakable self-belief. Let's dive in. Principle 1. Focus on what you can control. The first pillar of Stoic confidence is learning to focus your energy only on what you can control and letting go of the rest. So much of our self-doubt comes from fretting over things we cannot change: other people's opinions, unexpected events, the outcome of a situation. The Stoics teach that true power lies in directing our attention to our own actions and attitudes. When you stop worrying about external factors beyond your control, something amazing happens. You free yourself from needless anxiety, and you gain confidence from the things you can influence. Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. Epictetus. Epictetus, born a slave who became one of Rome's greatest Stoic teachers, reminds us that our efforts should go into what is in our power. Your decisions, your efforts, your reactions, these are firmly under your control, and thus they are where your confidence can grow. Anything beyond that, like luck, other people's choices, or external events, is ultimately not up to us, so worrying about those is futile. By focusing on your own controllable sphere, you gain a sense of agency and calm. Modern psychologists call this having an internal locus of control, and research shows it's linked to higher self-esteem and confidence. In other words, when you believe, "I can shape my own situation," you naturally feel more empowered. Consider the example of Professor Stephen Hawking. In his 20s, Hawking was diagnosed with a crippling disease, ALS, that gradually paralyzed him. He lost almost all control over his physical body, something most of us would find overwhelmingly discouraging. Yet, instead of giving up, Hawking chose to focus on what he could control: his brilliant mind. He poured his energy into his research on the universe's mysteries, wrote books using a speech synthesizer, and continued to advance theoretical physics for decades. By accepting what he couldn't change, his illness, and doubling down on what he could, his intellect and attitude, he became one of the most respected scientists of our time. His story shows the Stoic principle in action. Confidence blossoms when we concentrate on our own actions and choices, rather than lamenting our fate. On a more everyday level, imagine you're preparing for a big job interview. You can't control the interviewer's mood or the number of other applicants. If you obsess over those unknowns, your confidence will nosedive. But what can you control? You can control how prepared you are, researching the company, practicing your answers, showing up on time in professional attire. You can control your mindset, deciding to view the interview as a learning opportunity rather than a do-or-die scenario. By focusing on these controllable aspects, you walk into the interview feeling grounded and confident because you know you've done everything within your power to succeed. As the Stoics would say, you've made the best use of what is in your power. The rest, whether you get the job or not, is ultimately beyond your immediate control, so you can accept whatever happens with calm resilience. Shifting your focus to what you can control is liberating. Instead of feeling like a victim of circumstance, you become the author of your own life. Each day, practice this Stoic habit. When you catch yourself worrying about a circumstance, be it another person's reaction or a looming outcome, pause and ask, is this within my control? If not, gently release it. Then channel your energy into what is in your control, your effort, your character, your response. You'll find that your confidence immediately strengthens because you're no longer expending energy on the impossible. As one modern Stoic writer puts it, focusing on the controllables gives you agency and empowerment that can boost your confidence. When you do your best with what you can influence, you can face outcomes, good or bad, without regret or fear. This is the foundation of unshakable confidence, a mind that is secure in what it can do and serenely lets go of what it can't. Principle 2. Master your perception, control your thoughts. Building on that, the Stoics knew that it's not just external events we must manage, it's our internal interpretation of those events that truly shapes our confidence. The second Stoic principle is, master your perception. In simple terms, it's not things that upset us, but how we think about those things. If you can control your thoughts and opinions about what happens, you can choose responses that preserve your confidence instead of undermining it. It isn't events themselves that disturb people, but only their judgments about them. Epictetus. This insight from Epictetus is profound. Your mindset is the filter through which you experience the world. A setback can either be seen as a crushing failure or as a valuable lesson. The event is the same, but the story you tell yourself makes all the difference. If you constantly judge yourself harshly, I screwed up so I must be worthless, your confidence erodes. But if you train yourself to judge situations more constructively, that didn't work out, but I learned something and I can improve, you protect and rebuild your confidence. In fact, this Stoic idea is the basis of modern cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, the most proven psychological method for overcoming anxiety and self-doubt. Therapists today help people challenge negative thoughts and reframe them, precisely as Stoics advised centuries ago. Change your thoughts, and your feelings, including confidence, will follow. Let's bring this to life with a modern example. J.K. Rowling, the famed author of Harry Potter, experienced a barrage of rejections early in her career. A dozen publishers told her no before one took a chance on her manuscript. That could easily have been interpreted as, "I'm not good enough, my work has no value," leading her to quit writing. Indeed, many of us would feel pretty small after even one or two harsh rejections. But Rowling had a different perception. She later said that each rejection was one step closer to an acceptance, essentially fuel to keep improving her book and trying again. She maintained the confidence that her story was worth telling, viewing the rejections not as a verdict on her talent, but as subjective opinions or even opportunities to toughen her resolve. That Stoic-like mindset paid off. By reframing rejection, she preserved her self-belief and eventually got her big break. History knows what happened next. Harry Potter became a global phenomenon. Rowling's experience shows the power of mastering our perceptions. Two people can face the same setback. One loses confidence, another uses it as motivation. The difference lies in the judgment they lay on the event. In your life, you have the same power of perception. Let's say you give a presentation at work and it doesn't go as smoothly as you hoped. You notice a colleague looking at their phone and a couple of tough questions you couldn't answer perfectly. Now, you might interpret these facts as, "I blew it. Everyone must think I'm incompetent." That thought will surely deflate your confidence for next time. But what if you pause and question that perception? Maybe the colleague on the phone had an urgent matter unrelated to you, and those tough questions are areas for you to research and grow. A more balanced Stoic judgment might be, it wasn't a perfect presentation, but parts of it went well. I handled some questions nicely, and the ones I stumbled on show me what to improve for next time. By adopting this kinder and more rational perspective, you retain your self-confidence and extract a lesson to get better. The situation hasn't changed, your mindset has. As Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic Roman emperor, wrote in his Meditations, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been." In essence, how we choose to see a situation determines its impact on us. Training yourself to master your thoughts takes practice, but it's a skill that yields immense confidence. Next time you feel your confidence shaking, maybe after criticism or a mistake, write down the thoughts running through your mind. Are they overly negative or absolute, e.g., "I always mess up," or "They must all think I'm stupid"? Challenge those thoughts like a Stoic. Ask, is this objectively true? What might a more realistic or positive interpretation be? By doing this, you actively reshape your narrative. Psychologically, this is exactly what CBT therapists do with clients, and it works. You'll find that by changing the story you tell yourself, you transform your emotional state from defeated to determined. Your confidence grows when you consistently feed your mind empowering interpretations instead of destructive ones. The Stoics likened it to being a wise judge in your own mind. Accept only fair, constructive judgments and throw out the rest. In short, master your perception and you master your confidence. Principle 3. Take action and embrace discomfort. The third Stoic principle for unshakable confidence is all about action. Confidence is like a muscle. You strengthen it by using it, by taking action despite fear, and especially by doing the hard things that you know will make you grow. The Stoics believed in meeting challenges head-on rather than avoiding them. In the modern world, it's easy to fall into overthinking and procrastination, which only breeds more self-doubt. The Stoics teach us to get out of our heads and into action, because bold action builds confidence, while inaction feeds fear. It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that things are difficult. Seneca, the Roman Stoic statesman, brilliantly observes that we often imagine challenges to be harder than they truly are, simply because we haven't attempted them yet. In other words, avoidance makes our fears grow, whereas taking action, daring to try, makes daunting things feel achievable. How many times have you dreaded a task or situation, only to find that once you started doing it, it wasn't as bad as you thought? This is exactly what Seneca means. By daring to act, we discover our capacities, and what seemed difficult starts becoming easier. Every small act of courage expands our comfort zone and reinforces the belief that I can handle this. Thus, the Stoics would advise, face your fears through action. Each time you do, you notch a win that boosts your confidence for next time. A fantastic modern example of this principle is the story of Jia Jiang, an entrepreneur who decided to overcome his fear of rejection by deliberately seeking out discomfort. He started a project called 100 Days of Rejection, where, for 100 days, he would intentionally ask for things that almost guaranteed a no, like asking a stranger to borrow $100, requesting a burger refill at a restaurant, or even asking to plant a flower in someone's backyard. At first, every fiber of his being was terrified of these awkward requests. But by making rejection his daily routine, something amazing happened. His fear of hearing no dwindled, and his confidence skyrocketed. Rejection lost its sting. He realized it wasn't the end of the world, and often the anticipation was worse than the reality. In fact, sometimes he was surprised by a yes. Jia Jiang's experiment embodies Stoic wisdom, voluntarily embracing discomfort to grow stronger. By the end, he was far more confident to take risks in business and life, because he had proven to himself that even if things don't go his way, he can handle it. You don't need to do 100 crazy stunts to apply this idea, unless you want to. The key lesson is to practice stepping outside your comfort zone regularly. Is there a difficult conversation you've been avoiding? A skill you're afraid to learn because you might look foolish at first? A dream project you've been procrastinating on because you fear failure? Stoicism says, start before you feel fully ready. Take the first step, even if your hands shake a little. Action breeds confidence. When you actively confront a challenge, however small, you send your brain evidence. I did it. I survived. I grew. That evidence is far more powerful in building confidence than any amount of positive thinking in isolation. In fact, the Stoics were somewhat skeptical of mere affirmations. They preferred evidence through action. Do the thing, and you will believe in yourself more. Another aspect of Stoic action is embracing voluntary hardship to toughen yourself. Stoics like Seneca would sometimes dress plainly, eat simple foods, or take cold baths, even when they didn't have to, just to train their minds to be comfortable with discomfort. In the modern day, elite athletes do this too. They intentionally undergo grueling training, pushing beyond their comfort, so that on game day, they are ready for anything. Consider a marathon runner who trains by occasionally running in rain and heat. Come race day, they're confident because they've seen tough conditions before. For you, embracing discomfort could be as simple as speaking up in a meeting when normally you'd stay quiet, or attending an event alone to practice your social confidence. Each time you voluntarily do something a bit challenging, you're telling yourself, I'm stronger than my comfort zone. Over time, this greatly expands your self-assurance. Stoicism also emphasizes not overthinking the action. Marcus Aurelius wrote extensively about taking action without excuse. One of his famous reminders to himself was to get out of bed in the morning and do his duty, comparing it to nature. The bee does not wait for perfect conditions to do its work. In our context, this means don't wait until you feel confident to start. Start, and confidence will grow as a result. If you sit and ruminate, paralysis by analysis, your mind will generate more doubts. Instead, as Epictetus advised, first decide what you would be, then do what you have to do. Planning is good, but at some point, you must move forward. So, take that leap. Sign up for that class, make that phone call, initiate that project you've been dreaming about. The moment you take action, you are proving to yourself that fear does not control you. And even if the outcome isn't perfect, you will gain confidence from the mere fact that you braved the attempt. Remember Seneca's words, daring to begin makes difficult things easier. With each action, you accumulate experience and resilience. Confidence is the natural byproduct of many tiny acts of courage, compounded over time. The Stoics knew this well. We become more fearless by facing our fears, not by avoiding them. Step by step, your comfort zone broadens, and what once seemed impossible can become your new normal. That is the essence of building unshakable confidence through Stoic action. Principle 4. Turn obstacles into opportunities. Life is full of obstacles. That's something even the wisest philosopher and the average person have in common. But what truly separates the confident, resilient individual is how they view and respond to those obstacles. The Stoics took a radically empowering perspective. Every obstacle is an opportunity in disguise. Instead of seeing difficulties as reasons to quit or proof of inadequacy, Stoicism teaches us to treat setbacks as fuel for growth. This fourth principle can transform your confidence. When you believe that nothing can truly stop you, that challenges only make you stronger, you approach life with a bold and unshakable spirit. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, expressed this idea in one of his most famous meditations. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Marcus Aurelius. In other words, the obstacle is the way. Far from being a flowery platitude, this was Marcus's hard-earned personal wisdom as a ruler facing endless crises, from plagues to wars. He learned that each barrier could be turned to benefit by the right mindset and response. If something blocks your path, the effort you exert to overcome that block can send you down a better path, or strengthen some ability in you that would have remained undeveloped. Every problem introduces you to yourself, to your patience, your creativity, your perseverance. By seeing obstacles as opportunities to practice virtue and skill, the Stoics unlocked a form of confidence that external setbacks cannot touch. After all, if everything that happens, even the bad stuff, can somehow be used for your growth, then what is there to fear? You become, in a sense, invincible in spirit. Consider the story of Sir James Dyson, the inventor of the revolutionary Dyson vacuum cleaner. In the 1970s and 80s, Dyson set out to create a bagless vacuum using cyclone technology. This was a bold idea, and the obstacles he faced were enormous. He built 5,127 failed prototypes. Yes, over 5,000 iterations that didn't work. He also faced rejection from every major vacuum manufacturer who told him a bagless design would never sell. Many people would have given up after a dozen failures, or even after just one, but Dyson treated each failed prototype as a lesson. With every iteration, he tweaked the design, learning what didn't work, which brought him closer to figuring out what would work. He later said that with each failure, his design improved. This is a Stoic mindset in action. Each obstacle, the vacuum clogging, the motor burning out, etc., was actually guiding him toward a better solution. After several years, he finally perfected the design. Today, Dyson's invention has made him a billionaire and his name a byword for innovation. More importantly, Dyson's journey shows the confidence of persistence. He believed that the obstacles were not signs to stop, but rather directions on how to proceed. As Marcus Aurelius would say, what stood in the way became the way forward. This obstacle is the way mentality can apply to personal challenges as well. Think of a time you faced a disappointment, say, not getting into your first choice school or missing out on a promotion. In hindsight, did it lead you to a new opportunity or growth? Often it does. For example, an athlete who suffers an injury might discover through rehab a new passion for coaching, or might develop greater mental resilience during recovery. A job seeker rejected by many companies might be pushed to start their own business as a result, a business that flourishes precisely because of their unique vision. These stories aren't rare, they're common when you look for them. The Stoic lens just makes us more aware of this truth. With the right approach, setbacks set the stage for comebacks. Knowing this deep in your heart builds a formidable confidence, a kind that says, throw any challenge at me, I will find a way to turn it to my advantage, or at least learn something valuable. Modern psychology echoes this idea through the concept of the growth mindset, coined by psychologist Carol Dweck. A growth mindset means believing your abilities and intelligence can be developed through effort and learning, rather than seeing them as fixed. People with a growth mindset actually embrace challenges and persist in the face of setbacks because they see failure not as a verdict on their worth, but as part of the journey to improvement. Studies show they ultimately achieve more and build more self-confidence than those with a fixed mindset. This is essentially Stoicism in scientific clothing, the belief that adversity is a teacher, not an enemy. When you adopt this view, you don't fear obstacles as much. You might not like them. No one enjoys failure or difficulty in the moment, but you know you can use them. This gives you a kind of steady optimism and courage. To practice this Stoic principle, start reframing the obstacles in your life right now. If you're facing a difficulty, ask yourself, how might this challenge actually be helping me? What skill, quality, or opportunity is hidden here? You may find that a financial struggle is teaching you to be resourceful and creative with money, or that a difficult relationship is teaching you patience and better communication. Maybe losing one path forced you to discover a new and better path you wouldn't have explored otherwise. This isn't about sugarcoating reality or denying pain. Stoics felt hardship keenly, but they insisted on digging for the value within it. even something as tragic as failure or loss can impart wisdom, humility, or motivation for change. When you consistently extract lessons and benefits from hardships, your confidence gets a powerful boost. You start to view yourself as someone who will not be defeated. Every experience, good or bad, is part of your development. Remember Marcus's words, "The impediment to action advances action." Next time you hit a wall, take a deep breath and tell yourself, "This obstacle is the way. I will find a way to make this work for me." It might require creativity, or asking for help, or simply trying again differently, all of which are positive actions you wouldn't have taken without the obstacle. Thus, the challenge becomes a stepping stone. This attitude makes you fearless and resilient. You come to trust that no matter what happens, you can convert it into growth. With that kind of belief, your confidence no longer depends on everything going perfectly. You become, as the Stoics intended, anti-fragile, improving through adversity, and a person who only grows stronger with each challenge. That is someone with truly unshakable confidence. Principle 5. Live with integrity and align with your values. At the core of Stoicism is the conviction that character is destiny. The fifth principle for unshakable confidence is to live with virtue and integrity, to align your actions with your deepest values and principles. On the surface, you might wonder, what does ethics have to do with confidence? The answer: everything. When you live in accordance with your values, when you do what you know is right, keep your word, and carry yourself with honesty and fairness, you develop a profound form of self-respect. You like the person you see in the mirror, and that self-respect becomes an indestructible foundation for confidence. Conversely, if you compromise your values or wear a false mask to please others, your self-esteem erodes, because deep down, you feel like a fraud. The Stoics understood that being true to oneself is the surest way to attain eudaimonia, a flourishing life which includes a healthy confidence. One of Stoicism's great insights is that we should care more about our own character than about what others think of us. The goal is to have an internal standard of success, your virtue and effort, rather than measuring yourself by external markers like fame, wealth, or applause. Epictetus put it bluntly in his teachings: if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid with regard to external things. Epictetus. This striking advice means that if you're pursuing something noble, improving yourself or doing the right thing, you must be willing to endure others' snide remarks or misunderstanding. Don't base your self-worth on external approval. Be content even if people mock or underestimate you, as long as you know you are holding true to your principles. Epictetus isn't endorsing ignorance. He's saying that the opinions of onlookers, especially about trivial external matters, shouldn't sway you from your path. This is crucial for confidence. The moment you start living to impress others, you hand them your confidence on a platter. You become anxious because you can't control how they see you. Recall Principle 1. But if you live to impress your own conscience, striving to be honorable, kind, brave, and just by your own measure, you gain a steady, quiet confidence that no one can take away. You become self-reliant in your validation. A powerful modern example of confidence through integrity is Malala Yousafzai, the young activist for girls' education. As a schoolgirl in Pakistan, Malala took a public stand for her values, the right of girls to learn, even when the Taliban threatened violence. In 2012, a Taliban gunman actually attempted to assassinate her, shooting her in the head on her school bus. Remarkably, Malala survived and refused to be silenced. One might ask, where does a teenager find the courage to face down such terrifying opposition? It sprang from her unwavering commitment to her values. Malala later said she felt no hesitation in speaking out, because she deeply believed in the righteousness of her cause. She had moral confidence, the kind that comes from integrity. Even as the world's eyes turned to her, she went on to become the youngest ever Nobel Peace Prize laureate. Malala remained humble and focused on her mission, not on fame or others' opinions. By staying true to her core value of justice, She developed an aura of confidence and resolve that inspired millions. Her story illustrates, when you know in your heart that you are doing the right thing, you tap into a source of confidence far stronger than ego or bravado. It's the unshakable confidence of a clear conscience. Living with integrity means your actions align with your words and beliefs. It means you treat others in line with the golden rule, you carry out your duties, and you don't betray your principles for short-term gain. This consistency creates self-trust. You begin to trust yourself fully. Think about it. If you constantly break promises to yourself or act against your values, you send your psyche a message that you can't be relied on. But if you consistently act with integrity, you send the opposite message. I am dependable and true. Self-trust is the bedrock of confidence. For instance, if honesty is a value and you uphold honesty even when a lie would be easier, you reinforce your own sense of integrity. Next time you face a moral choice, you'll have confidence that, I know I have the strength to do what's right because I've done it before. Each ethical victory becomes a brick in the fortress of your self-esteem. There's also a serenity that comes from virtue, which feeds confidence. Seneca wrote, "No man who is good can ever be truly unhappy," implying that a good conscience gives you peace that circumstances can't rob. Conversely, if someone achieves worldly success by shady means, inside they often feel anxiety and insecurity, as if fearing they'll be unmasked. We see this with certain public figures who lack integrity. Their bravado is often a thin shell over a fragile ego. Stoic confidence, by contrast, is quiet and solid, rooted in authenticity. You don't need to boast when you're living rightly. The confidence comes from knowing your value isn't based on an image, but on real substance. To apply this principle, clarify your core values. Maybe it's honesty, kindness, hard work, courage, faith, or something else. Then evaluate. Are there areas in life where you're not fully living those values? Perhaps you've been going along with a crowd doing things that make you uneasy, or you've stayed silent when you should have spoken up. Decide to make a change. Align your daily actions with what you truly believe. It might be uncomfortable at first. You may have to say no to people or risk disapproval, but remember Epictetus's advice. Be willing to be misunderstood or thought foolish by others for the sake of your improvement. The freedom and confidence you gain are worth far more. Each time you stand up for your values, your self-respect soars, and with self-respect comes an inner confidence that shines through. You'll find that people might even start respecting you more as well, because integrity is quietly magnetic. In sum, living with integrity gives you a backbone of confidence. You know who you are and what you stand for. You become your own ally rather than your own critic. Even if you face criticism or setbacks, you can say, I acted according to my principles and did my best. There's no regret in that, only growth. The Stoics held that virtue is the only true good. Everything else, money, status, reputation, is secondary. By prioritizing virtue, you build an identity that is strong and stable. When your confidence is built on the quality of your character, it cannot be shaken by external changes, because you carry your values with you always. That is a profound form of confidence, the quiet assurance that no matter what happens, I will remain true to myself, and that will always be enough. Principle 6. Practice gratitude and live in the present moment. The sixth principle combines two related Stoic practices: gratitude for what you have and mindfulness of the present moment. At first glance, you might not link gratitude or presence with confidence, but these practices are potent in building an optimistic and resilient mindset, which is the soil in which confidence thrives. Gratitude shifts your focus to your strengths and blessings, reducing the feelings of lack or comparison that often eat away at confidence. Mindfulness, fully embracing the present, prevents the anxieties of tomorrow or regrets of yesterday from poisoning your self-belief today. The Stoics taught that by appreciating life's gifts and grounding ourselves in the now, we cultivate a stable, contented mind, untroubled by unnecessary fear. From that contentment springs the courage to engage with the world wholeheartedly. Marcus Aurelius, in his nightly meditations, often reminded himself to cherish life and not take it for granted. One beautiful quote attributed to him is, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive." Marcus Aurelius, starting the day with such gratitude sets a powerful tone. If you genuinely feel thankful to be alive, to have the abilities and opportunities you do, it's much harder for trivial problems or self-doubt to bring you down. Gratitude is essentially focusing on the positive. It doesn't mean ignoring challenges, but it means you refuse to overlook the good in your life. Stoics would deliberately practice gratitude by reflecting on how much they already have: friends, family, food, the capacity to think and grow, as a way to counteract the human tendency to fixate on what's missing. Modern psychology confirms this. Regular gratitude practice, like writing down a few things you're grateful for each day, is linked to improved self-esteem and well-being. By appreciating your own journey and progress, you become less insecure. You're not constantly comparing yourself to others or to some ideal. You recognize your own worth. Now, living in the present moment goes hand in hand with this. Seneca warned about the folly of constantly postponing life and worrying about the future. He famously said, "Expecting is the greatest impediment to living. In anticipation of tomorrow, it loses today." How often do we sap our confidence by projecting ourselves into a future worry? For instance, you might be enjoying learning a new skill, but then you start anxiously wondering, will I ever be really great at this? What if I fail down the line? And suddenly you feel deflated. The Stoics would gently pull you back to now. Right now, you are learning and growing. Focus on that. The present is the only place you can act and make a difference. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present," as a mantra to stay grounded. By doing so, you give your full attention to whatever is in front of you, whether it's practicing an exercise, talking to a friend, or working on a project. This presence not only improves your performance, thus your confidence in your abilities grows, but it also frees you from the weight of hypothetical troubles. Many of our fears exist only in imagination. As Seneca observed, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. If you anchor yourself in reality, the here and now, you realize you are okay, you are capable, and most moments are not as catastrophic as an anxious mind might think. Let's look at a modern example of gratitude and presence-building confidence. Oprah Winfrey, one of the most influential and confident media personalities in the world, swears by gratitude. She has kept a gratitude journal for years, writing down 5 things she's thankful for each day. Oprah often says this practice was transformative for her outlook on life. Even during tough times, forcing herself to find a few blessings kept her mindset positive and empowered. Instead of dwelling on her struggles, and she faced many, from poverty to career setbacks early on, she focused on what was working and what she did have. This habit made her more resilient. When you appreciate what you have accomplished or been given, you start to feel worthy and abundant, rather than lacking. Oprah's genuine self-confidence and warmth on camera can be partly attributed to this practice. She comes from a place of fullness, not scarcity. Gratitude literally rewired her brain to see possibilities and hope, which is contagious confidence. Another example, many athletes use mindfulness to boost their confidence under pressure. Take a professional basketball player standing at the free throw line in a championship game. The crowd is roaring, the stakes are high. It's easy for the mind to race to, what if I miss? This shot determines everything. But the players with Stoic-like composure will focus only on the process of the shot, their breathing, their form, the feel of the ball, this present moment. By doing so, they calm their nerves and often make the shot. If instead they let their mind jump to the future outcome, their body might tense and their confidence wavers. This is why many athletes practice meditation and presence. As another example, Olympic swimmer Michael Phelps used visualization and present moment focus to stay confident. Famously, in one race, his goggles filled with water, blinding him, a potentially panic-inducing obstacle. But Phelps had mentally prepared for adversity and stayed focused on counting his strokes, the immediate task. He still won the gold, even without sight, because he did not allow the unexpected problem to yank him out of his zone. He stayed present and trusted his training. His ability to remain calm in the moment came from practicing Stoic-like techniques of visualization and acceptance. To cultivate this in your life, try this Stoic exercise each day. Start with gratitude. In the morning or before bed, list a few things you're thankful for, including aspects of yourself you are grateful for. It could be as simple as, I'm grateful for my health, for a friend who believes in me, and for the effort I put into my work today. This shifts your mindset towards positivity and self-appreciation. You'll find over time that you feel more content with yourself, and contentment is a sturdy platform for confidence to grow. You won't be as easily shaken by envy or feelings of inadequacy because you continually remind yourself of what you have and what you are capable of. Next, throughout the day, practice mindfulness in small doses. When you notice your thoughts drifting into worries, what if I embarrass myself in that meeting tomorrow, or self-criticisms about the past, gently bring your attention back to right now. A great trick is to use your senses. Notice the sights, sounds, and sensations around you. Take a few deep breaths. Remind yourself, I am here now. Let me deal with what's in front of me. By doing this, you prevent a lot of confidence-draining thoughts. You focus on taking effective action in the present, which is empowering, rather than being paralyzed by a future that isn't here yet. Over time, you realize that you can handle the present moment because you've been doing it continually. This builds trust in yourself. Even future challenges, when they become now, will be handled just as the current ones are. In essence, gratitude and presence breed a quietly confident mind. Gratitude says, I have enough. I am enough. Presence says, I can handle this step right now. Together, they dispel the two thieves of confidence: envy, wanting what others have or what you lack, and anxiety, dreading what's to come. A Stoic mind full of appreciation and grounded in today is fertile ground for confidence. You carry a sense of fulfillment that does not depend on external validation, and you approach each day with focus. By appreciating the life you have and fully engaging with the present, you become more alive, and confidence is a natural result of that vitality. Principle 7. Accept fate. Amor Fati. Embrace whatever happens. We've arrived at the seventh and perhaps most profound Stoic principle for unshakable confidence: accept fate and love it. The Stoics used the Latin phrase Amor Fati, which means love of fate. This doesn't mean you have to literally enjoy every misfortune. Rather, it means fully accepting everything that happens, the good, the bad, and the ugly, as part of your story, and using it to your benefit. It's a mindset of total resilience. If you can reach a point where you say, no matter what comes my way, I will embrace it and make the best of it, then you have achieved a truly unshakable confidence. Why? Because you are no longer terrified of fate. You're not fighting reality or fearing the unknown. You trust yourself to adapt and flourish in any scenario. This principle is the capstone that reinforces all the previous ones. Focus on what you can control, your attitude toward fate, and let go of what you can't, the fact of what fate delivers. Epictetus, who began life as a slave and later endured exile, knew about uncontrollable events. His advice is a powerful mantra for acceptance. Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they do happen, and you will go on well. Epictetus. This is the essence of Stoic acceptance. Stop resisting reality or saying, this shouldn't be. Instead say, it is what it is. Now how can I respond virtuously or effectively? By aligning your will with the unfolding of events, you paradoxically gain great power, the power to respond with clarity and without despair. Imagine the confidence of welcoming whatever happens. It doesn't mean you don't strive for change or improvement. Stoics were active in life, but it means that when something is unchangeably true, at least for the moment, you accept it fully rather than getting stuck in denial or rage. That acceptance frees you to focus immediately on your next move. Think of it like a master sailor who can't control the wind, but adjusts his sails to catch it. If the wind changes, he doesn't curse the sky. He quickly trims the sails. In life, when fate deals an unexpected card, an illness, a sudden opportunity, a loss, a twist of events, a Stoic trained mind says, "Okay, this is the new reality. I accept it. What's next? How do I make the best of this?" This attitude is profoundly confident because nothing can break your spirit. You'll adapt and keep going forward. A striking modern example of Amor Fati is the story of Nick Vujicic. Nick was born without arms or legs, a circumstance most would consider a severe bad hand dealt by fate. In childhood, he struggled with depression and even suicidal thoughts, understandably. But eventually, Nick found a way to accept and love his life as it was. He realized that even without limbs, he had gifts, a sharp mind, a sense of humor, a capacity to connect with people. He decided to embrace his condition and use it as a platform to inspire others. Today, Nick Vujicic is a famed motivational speaker who travels the globe. He even surfs and swims. He often says, "I love my life," not in spite of his disability, but with it as part of who he is. By embracing his fate wholly, Nick unlocked an extraordinary confidence and presence. He doesn't hide or pity himself. He lives fully. His life has touched millions because he exemplifies that the human spirit can adapt to anything and find meaning. Nick's ability to say yes to life, regardless of its form, is pure Stoic wisdom. It shows that when you stop saying, "Why me?" and start saying, "Yes, me," you harness the strength to do incredible things. Another example, Tim Ferriss, a well-known entrepreneur and author, credits Stoicism, especially the practice of visualizing and accepting worst-case scenarios, with helping him overcome paralyzing fears. In his TED Talk, he describes an exercise he calls fear setting, inspired by Stoic thinkers like Seneca. When Tim was contemplating a risky life move, like leaving his stable job to start a business, he wrote down in detail his worst fears, going broke, feeling embarrassed, failing, and then imagined how he could recover if they happened. By staring his worst-case scenario in the face, he accepted the possibility instead of running from it. He realized that even if the worst happened, it might not be irreversible or as devastating as his mind made it out to be. This Stoic exercise of negative visualization, premeditating on potential evils, actually gave him courage to act. Why? Because once he accepted the worst in his mind, it no longer controlled him with fear. He effectively said, "So what if I fail and go broke? I could move to a cheaper city, get a job to recover, and I'd still be alive and learning." By making peace with those outcomes, he felt free to pursue his dream. And indeed, his ventures succeeded beyond what he imagined. Tim Ferriss's story teaches us that acceptance of even scary possibilities can rob them of their power over us. When you've made peace with what you fear, you become virtually fearless, a huge confidence booster. Practicing Amor Fati in daily life might look like this. When something doesn't go your way, you miss the train, you get injured, you receive criticism or bad news, take a moment to say internally, "I accept this. It's here, and I will make it a part of my story." Then ask, "How can I use this?" Maybe missing the train means you unexpectedly meet someone interesting on the next one, or simply gives you time to read, opportunity. Criticism might sting, but perhaps it highlights a weak spot you can strengthen, making you better in the long run. If a project fails, treat it as a lesson for your next project. This isn't just positive thinking, it's active alchemy, turning setbacks into stepping stones. The more you do this, the more you start to genuinely welcome challenges. You develop a kind of Stoic swagger that says, "Come what may, I'll figure it out. I'll find a way to benefit." It's not that you desire misfortune, but you don't shrink from it either. In fact, Marcus Aurelius suggested we greet adversity as an old friend that tests and improves us. When you live with Amor Fati, you radiate calm confidence. People will wonder, how is nothing fazing her? It's because you've mentally already embraced every outcome. If you get what you wanted, great, you're grateful. Principle 6. If you get something else, it might be making you stronger or redirecting you somewhere even better. This mindset dissolves a huge amount of fear of failure and fear of the unknown. You approach situations with a kind of inner assurance. Whatever happens, I'll make it into something useful. That is perhaps the ultimate confidence, believing in yourself and in life so much that even twists and turns are part of your adventure, not threats to your identity. To sum up this principle, practice acceptance, even love, of fate. Trust that life is on your side, even when it delivers hardship. Instead of saying, "Why is this happening to me?" say, "This is happening for me. I might not see the reason yet, but I will make it meaningful." When you adopt this Stoic stance, you move through life like a mighty river flowing around rocks, sometimes changing course, but never stopping. Nothing external can break you. Every experience only adds to your depth. That unbreakable spirit is the core of unshakable confidence. You've now traveled through 7 powerful principles of Stoic wisdom. From focusing on what you can control, mastering your mindset, and taking bold action, to learning from obstacles, living with integrity, practicing gratitude, and embracing your fate. These aren't abstract ideas. They are practical habits and attitudes you can start building into your life today. The Stoics proved their effectiveness through centuries, and modern examples and science echo the same truths. Imagine yourself applying these principles day by day. How much more resilient, courageous, and self-assured will you become? You'll find that challenges that once made you anxious now excite you as opportunities to grow. Setbacks that might have crushed your self-esteem become springboards for a comeback. You'll wake up with gratitude and purpose, and go to sleep with peace of mind, knowing you lived according to your values. This is the path to unshakable confidence, a confidence rooted not in ego or external praise, but in unyielding inner strength and wisdom. Remember, Stoic confidence is a practice. It's built through consistent effort, choosing to focus on the controllable when worry strikes, reframing negative thoughts, pushing yourself a little further in action, standing firm by your principles, counting your blessings, centering yourself in the present, and saying yes to whatever life brings. Bit by bit, these choices compound into a rock-solid belief in yourself. You become the eye of the storm, steady, clear, and strong, no matter how hard the winds blow around you. As you cultivate this mindset, don't be surprised if people around you start noticing a change. True confidence is quiet and magnetic. It's in the way you carry yourself and respond to the world. By following these Stoic steps, you not only uplift yourself, you also set a powerful example for others. You show that confidence isn't about having it easy or being perfect. It's about mental fortitude and character. And that means anyone can develop it, including you. Now, as we wrap up, take a moment to visualize the confident person you are becoming. The one who, like a Stoic sage, meets life with a calm smile that says, "I've got this, come what may." That person is already inside you, and these principles are the key to unlocking them. Thank you for watching and joining us on this journey of Stoic empowerment. If you found value in these insights, please give this video a thumbs up to let us know. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Which principle resonated the most with you, or do you have your own Stoic practices for building confidence? Share your story. Your perspective might inspire someone else. Don't forget to subscribe to the Be Stoic channel for more wisdom on building mental strength and living your best life. We have plenty more transformative content coming, and we'd be honored to have you as part of our community of growth. Remember, confidence is not a gift bestowed on a lucky few. It's a skill and a choice that you can cultivate every day. So keep practicing these principles and watch your life change from the inside out. As the Stoics would encourage, Go forward and live boldly. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video. Until then, stay strong and stay stoic.